Как долго будет сохраняться этот оптимизм и что именно на это влияет, обсудим с экспертом студии. У нас сегодня в гостях профессор Марко Soriano. Марко, привет и спасибо, что нашел время заглянуть к нам. Скажи, пожалуйста, вот сегодня видел тезис, что рост на американском рынке даже еще больший сюрприз, чем победа Трампа. Вот насколько ты с этим согласен и какие факторы, на твой взгляд, на это влияют?
Politics, in the end, we have to keep this in mind. Elections usually come back to the economy, to jobs, wages, taxes, imports, and exports. These are like the 5 topics that we have been discussing. The price of goods and the cost of an education has been an issue. Differences over all these issues, from tax rates and immigration to globalization and the minimum wage, are particularly sharp topics, especially now for our new elect president. When we're looking at the earnings and the future of the market, the impact that this caused was surprising. We noticed that companies such as the FANG, which is the companies that the stocks that Jim Cramer started out down on Wall Street, behave quite well actually in his point of view. Let's say that for now he has the ball in the court. So all these positive reactions, when we're looking at the whole market as a whole, I think has a pretty good taste to investors, and that's what we're looking at, and I think people are very happy about it.
А если говорить о технических компаниях, которые расположены в Силиконовой долине, у них на прошлой неделе дела шли не очень хорошо. Как долго это будет продолжаться?
We're calculating this earning based on 5 different metrics. The first one is the scorecard, which 91% of the companies of the S&P 500 have reported so far, but 71% of that 91% of the S&P 500 companies have reported earnings above the mean estimate, and that's the key. Bear in mind, 65%, no, 55% of the S&P 500 reported sales above the mean estimates. So I think we're looking at about a couple of quarters of good returns. The second metric to this is earnings growth. So for the third quarter of this year, earnings growth rates in the S&P 500 grew 2.9 when they were estimated to not be growing. The first time that the index has seen any type of growth since the first quarter of last year. So this is very positive. The third metric that I'd like to mention in this particular question is the earnings, the revisions that we have been looking at. So on September 30th, the estimated earnings that we were expecting decline in the third quarter, and that was by negative 2.2%, which also today, in comparison to September the 30th, have shown a much higher earnings growth. And that's a key. That's a really big surprise to all investors. What caused this? It was the real estate sector, which was also very surprising but expected. The fourth metric would be the earnings guidance, which for the next quarter, Q4 of this year, 59 of the S&P 500 companies have issued negative EPS guidance, and 26 of the S&P 500 companies have issued positive EPS guidance. This is something we need to follow. In terms of valuation, which is the last metric that I would consider, the forward 12-month PE ratio is for the S&P 500 about 16.6 points. This ratio is based on Thursday's closings, which was 2167.48, and the next 12 months EPA's estimate would be about $130.76 on a trade.
Да, и последний вопрос. Какие наиболее интересные отчеты нас ждут на этой неделе?
Once again, surprisingly, based on all these 5 metrics that we have accounted for, we are looking to growth, particularly in the technological sector and the real estate sector. And so we'll keep a very close eye to that.
Большое спасибо. Всегда рад видеть у нас в гостях.
Well, thank you for having me once again. It's always my pleasure to be here.